What is up, world? BakermanBrad here, and this time I'm bringing you our newest Smite god, Fafnir. We're going to talk a little bit about his abilities and his awesome ulti. And I'm pretty sure this is the first time that dwarves and dragons have got along, like, simultaneously. I wonder if that counts if, you know, they're the same thing. Anyways, let's talk about Fafnir and Smog. I mean, Fafnir's dragon form. So bring on the gold, the acid, the hammers, and let's do this. So Fafnir is our next Norse guardian, and he has a very interesting kit. And primarily I am talking about his ulti, which is kind of now not a surprise. He turns into a giant dragon. And this is a very interesting ulti because it's not the first transformation that a god goes through, but it's the first transformation of this scale, and it is awesome when you get to transform into a dragon and go stomping around through the jungle, killing people and, you know, basically being a dragon, which I think is kind of part of their job application. Are you good at killing people? Yes? Okay, you're hired. But the problem is he turns back to dwarf form, which he kind of is a little upset about that whenever he transforms back, but hey, we can't all be super powerful all the time because then people call you OP, but I digress. So to backtrack a little bit, talking about Fafnir's abilities is also a very key part of understanding Fafnir and his ulti. So his passive is Endless Greed, which, I mean, he's a dwarf, dragons are the symbols of greed. Makes sense that his passive is all about getting that gold. So, his passive allows him to get 4 bonus gold for every minion, structure, and kill or assist that Fafnir gets. He also gets bonus protections from having a bunch of gold. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. You don't want to spend too much of your gold because then you lose your protections, but if you don't spend your gold that you're gaining really quickly, you're not going to upgrade fast. So it kind of has one of those plays into the greed of the player in a really interesting dynamic. Now, I'm not saying that anybody here is too greedy because we all understand you gotta eventually get those boots and all, but it's a very interesting concept. Now, if you stack that with any of the items that allow you to get even more gold at a time, say Watcher's Gift, you can get gold real quick, so then you don't have to worry about not spending your gold to get your protections. Anyways, moving on, his Cursed Strength is his first ability, which I made a reference to in the last video about it being hammer time. Yeah, I know, that pun killed you too. Anyways, on top of being an easy reference, Cursed Strength really does allow for even more assistance in the lane. If it hits an enemy god, it will stun them and then radiate a pulse that slows down enemies that are in range. So it really is a very useful kit, which in a combo, I'll talk about it in a little bit, you could really string together a bunch of disarming CC'd chaos. We'll talk about that because it's pretty entertaining. So Fafnir's second ability, Coerce, is a buff that he can apply to himself or to allies. If applied to an ally, it increases their attack speed dramatically, heals Fafnir, and adds additional magic damage as bonus damage to your allies' basic damage. Now, after you followed all that damage, just imagine real quick what would happen if an Artemis with fully upgraded attack speed hit her 2 while having Fafnir's 2. I'm pretty sure that attack speed doesn't register in the game and might really break it. Just saying, it could happen. I haven't tried it. I haven't seen anybody try it. Pretty sure everyone's afraid of the same thing, but I think having a 3 to 4 second attack per second would just be ridiculous. So I want someone to do this. I need you to, just for me, please. Anyways, jumping ahead, with Underhanded Tactics, which is Fafnir's 3, allows for Fafnir to leap forward doing area damage in a cone in front of him. If he hits enemy gods, they're disarmed for 3 seconds. So that is just one more tool that he has in his kit to really create an awesome support god. So if you're lucky enough to have a Fafnir in your lane, be prepared to shred people if they get hit by a 3-2-1 combo. And by 2, I mean Fafnir hitting his 3 on them, hitting 2 on you, and then hitting someone else with their 1, or pretty much any combination of those, because you're just set up for success. If you don't, I mean, you might have a problem, unless you were running away, which then, you know, I get it. I just saved it. Which, I mean, I won't hold it against you, but being that this little dwarf is pretty much the symbol of greed, he might. And speaking of the symbol of greed, let's move on to Fafnir's ulti, which is what you've all been waiting for. Dragonic Corruption. And yes, he turns into a giant dragon. And it is everything you would want turning into a dragon to be. On top of being an AoE damaging attack as it's cast, after he's turned into a dragon, he can go stomping around using all of his abilities with additional effects on top of that. So that's kind of like just adding murder sprinkles to your favorite flavor of death ice cream. If that wasn't enough, his basic attack turns into a breath attack that damages all enemies in front of him and really completes the "I'm a mother flippin' dragon" kind of feel that you get whenever you make this transformation. Now the cherry on top of all of this is that when Fafnir turns into his dragon form, all of his ability cooldowns are completely reset. So yeah, that's exactly right. If you hit all 3 of your abilities before turning into a dragon, you can then use all 3 of your abilities in dragon form. And I'm pretty sure if someone gets caught by all of those disarms and stuns, that they're probably gonna rage quit. Well, that or be really upset about it. One of the two. But with that said, I'm pretty sure that's all I can talk about in terms of the basic concept of what Fafnir brings to the table. But now, to speculate some things, I can really see Fafnir becoming one of the staple guardians in pretty much any of these matches, but in particular in Conquest and Joust, or any of those that you have a dedicated ADC for him to use his 2 on. And then to follow up and really set up some wicked potential for being able to do damage just non-stop, and then also keeping the enemy from being able to react. With the disarms and the stuns, you're going to see him all over the place. And with that in mind, I could actually see Fafnir as one of our jungle guardians, so to speak, with his ability to initiate from the jungle and create a long-lasting issue with whoever he's ganking. You can see him being very viable in that realm if he has the ability to adapt in terms of purchasing certain items, and we'll find out later on if that is a viable option. But being that he gets protections from his passive, I really think that is an option because he can kind of sacrifice some of his protections for power items because of that. Now, would I go full-fledged and say that, yes, this is going to be what happens all the time? No. But I really think it's going to be worth trying, and I will probably try it down the road. And if you try it and you like it, well, let us know in the comments below. But if not, also let us know, because, I mean, then how else would we know if it doesn't work? But continuing with speculation, I doubt that we'll see Fafnir in solo lane or pretty much by himself ever, because that really reduces the potential that he brings to the table with his combination of abilities and primarily his 2, which when he turns into a dragon is a larger area of effect that he can cast on all of his allies. And so that's where, if he doesn't have allies around, he can cast it on himself, but he's not getting the heal, they're not getting the additional magic damage, and it's kind of just not reaching full potential. So is it possible? Yeah, but I don't think it'd be worth it. And I'm pretty sure the rest of your team would be pretty upset. So, I mean, if you want to try it, go ahead. I'm not gonna. And with that, that is everything I have for Fafnir, our newest Norse Guardian, who is all about throwing hammers, jumping around, and turning into a giant fire-breathing dragon. However, I'm not done with this video, because I'd like to actually introduce the newest little piece of this that I've been kind of waiting on, which is talking about all those comments that I keep asking you guys to send. In particular, I want to say thank you first to DJ Grimace, who actually has a comment that is against what I said, and the trick is he said it in a way that actually is going to help create conversation. So, thank you, DJ Grimace. I understand where he's coming from, too. The whole idea of the telekinesis ring and Athena for what I play as is actually playing off of having allies around. So if you were to go completely solo with Athena, his argument makes sense. glass cannon. Go all power, no defense, because by the time you've done the damage and got rid of your opponents, they haven't been able to do damage to you. So I could see where not having telekinesis ring with the benefit that he's talking about, you could get more power and other items. Okay, yeah, I understand. Do I agree? Well, I mean, there was the time that I outkilled a Loki on my team, but that's one example. He has 1,000 hours in Athena, so I'm pretty sure he's seen all of that. But really the most important part is, again, thank you for being civil in your comments, even whenever it was completely against what I said. Now, with that said, you guys need to go and understand that these videos are going to have a cycle to them. When there's a new god, absolutely, we'll put out the new god, but with the old videos, we're actually going to be creating an open forum to talk about the gods in there and to do exactly what DJ Grimace has done, and that is to create opinions, get conversation out there, and find out what you guys think about certain gods, certain builds, certain items, and really to express that in an open conversation. So keep that in mind next time you see a video out there that's not the newest god, because sometimes they might not have a new god to show. And with that, let me know which gods you'd want to see first, or maybe there's something in terms of a new arena or a new match or pretty much any of that. So these refreshers, keep in mind, will be there because we're going to be creating a new thing. Not necessarily because of a new god, but a new series. But enough rambling. If you have any questions about what Fafnir is going to bring to the table, feel free to drop a comment down below. If you have any questions about the game, take a look at smitethegame.com or check out our game profile page on MMOHuts.com. If you haven't already, hit that like button, as well as subscribing, because that'd be awesome. Now, if you don't want to do either of those, I'd like you to let me know why. But again, as always, be nice. This has been BakermanBrad showing you Fafnir, Lord of Glittering Gold and probably Greed. And with that, gamers, get back to gaming.